Hello, my name is Michael Paul Hurd. I am the owner of Lineage Independent Publishing and author of my own Lineage series of historical fiction novels. Welcome to this special episode of Background of the Lineage series. Unlike our other episodes where I present information about the history or storyline for each novel, this episode focuses on what we call the sausage making behind my cover designs. When I started writing and publishing in 2019, cover design and layout were daunting tasks. I didn't feel I had enough artistic talent nor the graphics design know-how to come up with appealing covers. The first two books of the Lineage series seemed to prove that point. The first book used public domain artwork from Amazon, and the second used photographs that I had taken. Though those two covers tell a little about the story, I have never been completely satisfied with their appearance. If I can ever find the time, I may go back and redesign those covers, applying what I have learned since then. Beginning with Book 3, Iniquity and Retribution, I started paying more attention to layout and design vis-a-vis the story. The cover of Book 3 was originally a color photograph in some promotional literature from the Howard County, Maryland Department of Recreation and Parks. I took the photo and ran it through a couple of filters to achieve the gloomy black and white effect. Then I added the text overlay, making sure that none of the text was too close to an edge, or danger zone, that would risk being cut off during the printing process. Wayward Son, the fourth book in the series, was basically a diorama I assembled using materials on hand, laid down on a printout of an antique map that showed both Virginia and Missouri. One of the dice was held in place using modeling clay to make it look as if it had just been rolled. The sleeve, with the cheater's ace of hearts exposed, was from a minstrel tunic I had used as part of a pirate costume on several of our cruises. It took a couple of hours to get the layout and lighting perfect for the photograph that eventually became the cover. Book 5 was an interesting cover in my opinion. The color sketch of the ship is indeed the Mary Rose, which is the reason behind the book's title, The Seventh Wife. I felt simplicity was best for this book as I could have used a portrait of Henry VIII, but he was not intended to be the central character of the story. The Germans, Lineage Series Book 6, used photographs I had taken on my long bicycle rides around our area. It was purely by accident that the barn and the plow lined up as nicely as they did, as they are actually two separate photos I stitched together. They were good representations of the agricultural theme of the novel. Book 7, Uncertain Alliances, set during the French and Indian War, or the 7 Years' War as it is sometimes called in Europe, was again a diorama of my own design. The chessboard is a crystal and mirror board with a map reflecting on it from above. The chess pieces are traditional Staunton design, the one used in international chess tournaments. This is one place where I took considerable literary license with the design. The Staunton style did not come into common use until the middle of the 19th century, or about 100 years after the setting for the book. I spent several hours on the title and byline text to be sure I had the right mix of contrast and color. The 8th book in the series, Ground Faults, is where I stopped numbering the books in the subtitle, replacing it with simply a Lineage Series novel. As I have said in my previous podcasts, it was never my intention for the books to be read in sequence, rather that a reader chose each one based on their interest in the storyline carried in the synopsis. The cover for Ground Faults needed to express the urban, suburban, and rural electrification themes that drove the story forward, and I needed Victorian architecture to capture the essence of that effort. So I reached out to a friend who had been stationed with us in England and was the owner of the Craig Manor Bed and Breakfast in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. As Chambersburg is only a little over an hour away from our home, we drove up there for a tour. My own photos did not do justice to the property, so I got permission from the owner, Emily Secules, to use a nighttime photo from her promotional brochure as the background. Adding the overlay of the electrical arc from top to bottom was another challenge that took a lot of time to get just right. It fit perfectly with the story. Of Time and Place brought the element of time travel to the Lineage series. Its cover used unrestricted graphics from Pixabay, with some alterations of my own, to convey one of the scenes in the story where a main character jumps from one time period to another. I was pretty pleased with my design, as the original artwork had a Jolly Roger flying from one of the masts, and I had successfully edited it out. The 10th book, Cannonball 204, was again a cover of my own compilation. I used a clip from a painting in the U.S. Navy Archives and a current navigation chart for southwestern Lake Erie that showed the location for the story. The text is a modified military stencil font that I imported to Microsoft Publisher. Take the Long Way Home is still a work in progress, but I do already have a cover design formulated. England's King Charles II is a central character in the story, and a cutout from a portrait appears prominently on the cover, as does the woodland background, another important aspect of the plot. Yes, the title is also a Supertramp song from their 1979 album, Breakfast in America, but the song titles are not copyright protected like lyrics are. Since the beginning of my writing and publishing efforts, I have learned a lot about software packages and cover templates on book publishing suites. Things like color density, transparency, positioning, and conversion to print-ready graphics are no longer challenges. Instead, they are part of my overall process. Because it is scalable to different print sizes, I start with Microsoft Publisher, import graphics in either JPEG or PNG formats, clipping them as needed using Microsoft Paint package, add text box overlays in Publisher, and then manipulate the positioning to get the effects that I envision. With the exception of Adobe software, for which I have a site license, all of the design packages are readily available as part of the Microsoft Office suite. Some covers are quick, as the desired result is clear in my mind. Others take longer. Either way, I try to bounce the ideas off the other Lineage independent publishing authors and a couple of graphic arts savvy friends whose opinions I trust. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion of my approach to cover design for each of the Lineage series novels. Please feel free to comment in the appropriate input box on Facebook, YouTube, or Substack, and by all means click that like button. And please don't forget to watch the regularly scheduled episodes that post on YouTube every Thursday at 1 a.m. Eastern U.S. time through at least February 20th of 2025. For Lineage Independent Publishing, I'm Michael Paul Hurd. Thanks for watching.